Lamelo Ball gets paid today in the lit one. Make sure you share this video, like this video, subscribe to the channel. It's your boy Rev. It's about to go down. Lamelo Ball, as reported by Adrian Wojnarowski, has signed a $260 million max deal, up to $260 over the next 5 years, to stay with the Charlotte Hornets. Oh, the agony. Oh, the pain. Oh, the misery. Nah, I'm playing. Let the bee breathe. Let it build. Nah, man, this is a great day for Lamelo Ball. This is a great day for the Charlotte Hornets. A lot of hard work and dedication has been put into this craft by this young man that is Lamelo Ball. Basically born with a ball in his hands, has traveled the world 2 times over in order to pursue his NBA dreams, to pursue his basketball dreams. Some would say basketball destiny. Been through a lot, man. In this video, I kind of want to review all of the things that Lamelo had to deal with and overcome in order to make it where he is now, and to be the second highest player in the NBA right now, behind Nikola Jokic. He's tied with Tyrese Halliburton for having the biggest contracts in the league currently. He's one of 4 players with $250 million deals. And if you remember, the Lit House was on top of this 2 years ago when people were saying we were insane. We said that LaMelo's deal would be close to $300 million. How you like them apples? If you want more conversation and more topics like that where we're able to prognosticate, praise be to the Most High, things like that before they happen, then make sure you sign up for the Lit House, subscribe to the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, become a member. You know what I'm saying? It's very important, and turn on those notifications. Lamelo Ball, out of Chino Hills, son of LaVar Ball and Tina Ball, has been playing ball for his entire life. Him and his brothers on AAU circuits, him and his brothers going through dangerous neighborhoods to play against older men, older boys, to be better, to pursue greatness, to be great. They burst onto the scene about 6 years ago now, 7 or 8 years ago now, and they became a cultural phenomenon. This braggadocious father that they had in LaVar, this strong-headed father that they had in LaVar, being their promoter. I call him the second coming of Don King, being the best promoter on the planet, promoting his boys, promoting Lonzo, D'Angelo, and Lamelo. Lamelo being the youngest of the pack, being looked at as the one that was the biggest wild card and the biggest upside, but the biggest bust potential as well. Because of their flamboyant lifestyle, because they had a reality TV show, a lot of scouts, when Lamelo was 14 and 15 years old, held that against him and said that he was entitled. All of these subtly racist connotations when it comes to black boys who come from affluent families or well-to-do families, or right above the middle-class line to do families. It's considered that they're not hungry. It's considered that they don't have a desire to win because they don't come from impoverished areas. Lamelo got hit with that stigma early, between 14 and 15 years old. They said he was a cherry pick. They said he was lazy. They said he didn't love the game. They said he played daddy ball. When the situation with the Big Baller brand happened, when they had to essentially shut down the brand because of the allegations against one of the former partners, and Lonzo cashed his stake in on the Big Baller brand, things really went left. Right around the time the alleged incidents with D'Angelo Ball was taking place. I say alleged because there wasn't nothing proven to me. After that incident went down, Lamelo was forced to decommit from Chino Hills. Decommit from UCLA and go the route of Chino Hills. I'm sorry, go the route of traveling internationally. LaVar had a falling out with the coach at Chino Hills, and everything was just spiraling out of control. LaVar made a strong, conscious decision to take his sons overseas, Leangelo and Lamelo overseas, to play against grown men in Lithuania. A lot of people disagree with that decision. I loved it. I thought it was courageous. I thought it would give the young men more opportunities to understand the world from a bigger geopolitical perspective. And just a chance to prove how much you love the game. I thought it was a brilliant move at the time. I still think it's a brilliant move to this day. Lamelo and Leangelo went over there in an environment where there was not a lot of things to do for young men, for teenagers. There was nothing to do but to lock in and play basketball in a country that a lot of people don't look like them. Lamelo dealt with bullying from older players, from grown men. They were putting pictures of Borat up in the locker room. They were doing him filthy. They were doing him terrible. But he endured as long as he could and had many moments where he shined. He had many moments where he was exceptional, even as a 14, 15-year-old prospect. They left Lithuania and eventually came to the USA. Came back to the USA and started the JBA. In the JBA, Lamelo was considered the face of the league. Once again, a lot of responsibility. And you got to look at this. Whenever these things are coming, these responsibilities that Lamelo was facing, if he wasn't getting back on defense, if he wasn't doing something the right way, or if he wasn't doing something the way that LaVar wanted him to do it, a lot of these moments where he was being chastised or disciplined, they happened in front of the entire world because of the reality TV show cameras.
You get tapped in the head. I told your ass, we cannot respond like that.
This wasn't something that was happening in a vacuum, like the average young man or young woman is being trained by their parents to box, to play basketball, to play football, or whatever, soccer, whatever they're doing. Lamelo had to deal with these embarrassments on camera, where a lot of guys would have, hung their shoulders and quit. A lot of guys would have just took the money and decided to live a LA, Hollywood, Chino Hills lifestyle, chase the women, chase the cars, chase the clothes. They already got a leg up in the world because they're famous. Lamelo, he really dug in and tried to prove that he would be the face of the JBA. The JBA lasted for a short time, but it was revolutionary in that it caused the NBA to create things like the G League Ignite. And it caused young players to look for alternative routes to the league. Because of the JBA and the creation of the JBA and the alternative route that Lamelo went at the time, Lamelo plummeted from being the #1 prospect in his class when he was in the 10th grade all the way to the second end of the draft when it came to draft boards. Some people had him as being undraftable. Some people had him as an overrated prospect. After dealing with the JBA and the JBA World Tour, Jermaine Jackson, the purple goat, don't float on hope. I said the purple goat don't float on hope. Reached out to LaVar, reached out to Alan Foster, or if you believe Alan reached out to Jermaine Jackson. Jermaine Jackson had to reciprocate the energy for Lamelo to end up at Spire, and they welcomed him at Spire Academy. The first interview, Jermaine Jackson had this to say about Lamelo Ball.
Top guards in the country, if not the top guard in the country.
Wow, so that's very interesting. You had a long career in the NBA. You know what top basketball players look like. Does Lamelo Ball have the ability to be an NBA player? Does he have that type of talent?
Lamelo Ball got the ability to be the #1 pick to the Cleveland Cavaliers soon.
#1 pick. He's that good, Jermaine, that he has that talent.
In my opinion, Lamelo Ball can be the #1 pick in a year or two going to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Wow. So is that the goal? He's coming in to your team now for his senior year. You feel like you develop him a little bit and he will really be in that position to not be an NBA player, a normal NBA player, but a top draft pick.
Ain't no question about it. I mean, he's known as that all over the world. I mean, he has a talent that some of it just can't be taught. So I'm not the guy that's going to say, oh, let me put some handcuffs on you. Let me put some more dribbling on you. Hell no. Do what you do, and I'm going to sit back and watch.
Jermaine Jackson fully endorsed LaMelo and believed in LaMelo in a time where few people in the world believed in LaMelo and thought that he could be that high of a draft prospect. Jermaine Jackson began to work with LaMelo immediately, but in a style that was different than the way that his father worked with him. Not to say one style is better and one style is worse. I don't want to get into that conversation right now, but Jermaine Jackson provided a different voice from the chorus that LaMelo was hearing from his father all of his life. Jermaine Jackson took LaMelo to the city of Detroit, Jermaine Jackson's hometown, and he encouraged LaMelo to do community work. He took LaMelo to the hoods of Detroit. Jermaine Jackson being a 7 or 8 year NBA player, an NBA player that was not a foregone conclusion, an NBA player that played for the University of Detroit and busted his ass every second, every minute, every time he was on the court in order to make it in the league and have a respectable career and build a respectable rapport with young players around the league. It was a match made in heaven. Even though LaMelo was shining at Spire Academy, it still was an uphill battle for LaMelo Ball. It still was no foregone conclusion that he would be an NBA prospect, let alone a lottery pick, let alone, which we see today, which is a franchise cornerstone. Even after having a great year at Spire, the marginal climb that he made on the ESPN Top 100 rankings was so dissatisfying that LaMelo, Jermaine, they knew they had to do something else to really shake things up. Immediately, Jermaine Jackson started to train LaMelo one-on-one, making him get lower in his dribble, making him get lower in his base, showing him the technique of defense, something that LaMelo had rarely played in his time in Chino Hills with the running gun offense that Cali is so often known for. Jermaine Jackson and LaMelo sat down and came up with the idea of going overseas to Australia to play in the NBL, which was the best move that ever happened in LaMelo's career. Once announcing that he was going overseas to play in the NBL, they went on ESPN with Scottie Pippen, Ramona Sherborne, and if you know the history, you know how crazy that was, and announced on live TV that LaMelo would be a young man at 18 years old, traveling once again across the world to play basketball and pursue his dream. Once he got to the NBL, the first interview he did alongside R.J. Hampton with Corey Homicide Williams, a former NBL MVP, New York street ball legend. Corey really pressed him and told him, this ain't a cupcake league. And all of those highlights and stuff, you're playing against grown men. Well, 3 games into the preseason, LaMelo Ball played the #1 ranked team, the defending champions, the Perth Wildcats, and their, at the time, all-world defensive player, Martin, and LaMelo Ball cooked them. And from that game, with Mike Schmidt in attendance and Mitch Kupchak in attendance of the Charlotte Hornets, LaMelo Ball finally regained his footing on the draft charts, and we started to hear things like LaMelo Ball would be the #1 draft pick. He's propelled into the NBA the next year after the Golden State Warriors did him filthy. Golden State, don't you feel dumb? Golden State, don't you feel dumb? Golden State, don't you feel dumb? Ether. He's drafted by the Charlotte Hornets at the #3 draft pick. It's still a lot of doubt surrounding him because of his reputation, because of his family's quote-unquote reputation, them afraid of the circus coming to town. LaMelo is made to earn every inch his rookie year, outperforming the starting guard, and Devontae Graham still sits on the bench. Triple-double, youngest player in the NBA history with a triple-double, still sits on the bench. Cooking Giannis Antetokounmpo still sits on the bench. It wasn't until about his 28th or 29th game that LaMelo Ball finally got to start in this league that is the NBA. with all of those things against him, he went on to become the Rookie of the Year, and the next year to become an All-Star in a rotation that was made to marginalize him so that he couldn't run up the numbers and the money in Charlotte. They wanted to slow walk him so he could never get to this day. Every time it was clear that he was the franchise player on the team, we were always given another name of marginal talent that we knew could not compete with LaMelo, just to keep him in check financially. Once the selling of the Charlotte Hornets was announced from Michael Jordan to the minority owners in the franchise, there was a new day that was dawning in Charlotte. Just last week, they drafted Brandon Miller, the perfect running mate to LaMelo Ball. Free Miles Bridges. I said free Miles Bridges. I said free Miles Bridges. I knew LaMelo was going to get paid. He's a transcendent talent that has done more than any other prospect in the last 20 years to make it to the NBA. The things that this young man has had to endure from the fans, from his family, from the detractors, from grown men that just love to belittle anything this young man does. And the way that he stayed persistent and consistent, it was undeniable at this moment that now the LaMelo Ball has a $250 million contract in Charlotte, the highest contract in the history of the Charlotte Hornets, that there is no mistaking, there is no doubting. LaMelo is a franchise player and an NBA superstar. Share this video, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Welcome to the Lit House. Y'all tell me what y'all think about LaMelo getting paid down there in Charlotte. Is he the franchise? Is he the future? Is he one of the future MVPs and faces of the league? It's the mighty, mighty Lit House. Subscribe and like.